Long ago, before the world was mapped and measured, there existed a sacred knowledge, hidden in plain sight, yet visible only to those with awakened eyes. Whispered from sage to seeker, this wisdom was not meant for the masses, but for those ready to reshape the very fabric of their reality. Now, that same hidden current flows through the words you are about to hear. This is no ordinary audiobook. Woven into its fabric are the ancient secrets that mystics and initiates have used to bend the laws of the world, not by force, but by harmony. This is the knowledge that shows you how thought becomes form, how belief births experience, and how the unseen shapes the seen. The question is, are you ready to remember what your soul has never forgotten? You stand now at the threshold of revelation. These teachings are not just spiritual poetry, they are living laws, immutable as gravity, constant as breath. They respond not to effort, but to inner alignment, not to pleading, but to presence, not to outer action, but to the silent certainty held deep within the chambers of your heart. Visualization is not idle fantasy. It is the blueprint from which galaxies and lifetimes are shaped. Within you lies the same spark that carved mountains, set stars in motion, and breathed spirit into form. And now, through this journey, you will learn to wield it, not as something external, but as the divine birthright already living within your being. As you listen, you will walk through 10 sacred temples of transformation, each one a mirror, a portal, a revelation, each one unlocking a higher octave of understanding, from perception, intention, and inner vision, to manifestation, faith, alignment, from gratitude, compassion, and surrender, to the sacred reunion with all that is. This journey is not about adding knowledge. It is about remembering power, reawakening the blueprint of the mystic within you. With each chapter, you will hear a story, a parable encoded with layered truths. Then, like a lantern passed from one initiate to another, the deeper teaching will be offered in clarity. And finally, you will be guided through a ritual of discovery, an experiential doorway to anchor the truth in your breath, your body, your life. So breathe deeply now. Feel the earth beneath you, the stillness before the dawn, the electric hum of ancient knowing returning to your soul. The forgotten laws await your remembrance. Step forward, dear traveler. The secrets of creation are calling. The sacred journey. Introduction. In the beginning there was only the sound of the wind and the promise of dawn. Within that silence an ancient voice calls out to those who seek. It whispers of a path winding through mystic valleys and over starlit peaks, a path that leads the soul toward long-forgotten truths. It invites you, dear traveler, to step beyond the known into the realms of the unseen, where the ordinary becomes sacred and the unseen becomes your guiding light. Each footstep on this journey is a prayer. Each breath you take is an echo of 1,000 prayers uttered by the wise ones who walked these lands before. The air itself is alive with memory. Under the gentle glow of a rising sun, you sense the presence of unseen companions, the ancestors of spirit, the elders of time, walking beside you. In the rustling leaves and the distant song of a night bird returning to its nest, you hear guidance. They say, "Be not afraid." The path reveals itself to the one who walks in faith. As you set forth, the world around you transforms. The trees along the path seem to bow, The horizon expands, and time slows to the rhythm of your heart. There is a hush, as if the universe itself holds its breath in anticipation of the revelations to come. For you are about to journey through 10 sacred temples of understanding, each a chapter of living wisdom, from the way you perceive the world to the power of your intention, from the visions you nurture in your mind to the miracles you manifest with your hands, from the faith that lights your darkest nights to the alignment that harmonizes your life with the cosmos, from the gratitude that fills your cup to the compassion that links you to all beings, through surrender into trust, and finally into the holy union of oneness. This is no ordinary tale, but an odyssey of the soul. In each chapter, a story will unfold, of seekers and sages, of trials and triumphs, reflecting the principle at hand like a polished mirror. Then, like a kindly mentor, the narrative will pause to reveal the teachings hidden in the tale, inviting you to glean the wisdom and apply it to your own life. And at the end of each chapter, you will be guided through a ritual of discovery, a sacred practice or meditation to integrate that lesson into the fibers of your being. Prepare yourself now as dusk turns to dawn within. Open your heart as one opens a temple door with reverence and awe. Feel the earth firm beneath your feet and the sky vast above. The journey of 1,000 lifetimes awaits within these pages, ready to awaken what you have always carried deep in your soul. Step forward and let the first light of wisdom illuminate your path. Chapter 1. Perception. Night had fallen by the time Arun and his teacher Elan reached the foot of the great hill. The journey had been long, and Arun's mind was clouded with frustration. All day as they walked, Arun had complained. The road was too rocky, the sun too harsh, the villagers they passed too unfriendly. Every inconvenience loomed large in his eyes. Elan, however, had smiled quietly at each hardship, saying little, his old eyes twinkling with some secret understanding. By the time they made camp, Arun's feet were sore and his temper short. In the darkness, the unfamiliar sounds of the night filled him with unease. The wind sighed through the trees in a way that sounded like whispers of ghosts. In the distance, an owl's cry made him shiver. He huddled closer to the campfire and grumbled, "This place is cursed. I can't see a thing but shadows. Everything around us feels hostile." Elan poked the fire calmly, sending a swirl of sparks into the night air. "Things are not always what they seem in the dark," he said gently. "Rest now. Tomorrow's light may show this place differently." Aaron lay down, still troubled. His dreams were uneasy and filled with the day's annoyances. Stones bruising his feet, strangers frowning, and the haunting night sounds. It was as if his mind walked a landscape of thorns even in sleep. Before dawn, Elan roused him. The old teacher's voice was soft. "Come, Aaron, we must greet the sun from the hilltop." Groggy and reluctant, Aaron followed Elan up the winding path. The world was still draped in pre-dawn dimness, and Aaron stumbled on rocks he couldn't see. He silently cursed the darkness and his decision to join this journey. At last they reached a high clearing crowned by a lone, ancient oak. They sat beneath it, catching their breath. The sky began to lighten. A deep silence fell, broken only by the first tentative notes of a morning bird. As the eastern horizon glowed with hues of rose and gold, Elan nodded toward the valley below. "Look, child," he whispered. Aaron rubbed his bleary eyes and gazed out. As the sun crested the distant mountains, light poured over the land like liquid honey. What had been hidden in night's shadow was now revealed, a patchwork of fields spread out in greens and yellows, dotted with little cottages from which thin trails of smoke rose peacefully. The river they had followed now gleamed silver, winding gently through the valley. Even the very road that had vexed him appeared as a friendly ribbon leading toward a quaint village in the distance. Aaron's breath caught. The valley was breathtaking in the dawn, serene and full of life. He could see farmers in the distance guiding oxen, and children chasing one another near the cottages. Nothing had changed from the night before except the light in which it was seen. Elan glanced at Aaron, a smile playing on his lips. The world hasn't changed overnight, and yet... It looks so beautiful now, Aaron replied, marvelling. He felt a twinge of regret as he recalled his complaints. The same road, the same land had seemed cruel and ugly to him yesterday. Now he saw its gentle beauty. They began their descent toward the village, the morning air fresh on their faces. Villagers they passed now waved and smiled, and Aaron found himself smiling back. He realized these were the same people he had thought unfriendly the day before. Perhaps they had appeared stern only because he was frowning at them, wrapped in his own irritation. As they neared the village well, Aaron spoke quietly. "Master, last night I was convinced this valley was a horrible place, but in the light of day it is wonderful. How could I have been so wrong?" Elan placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "When you walk in darkness, you only see shadows. When light enters, the true form of things is revealed. But remember, it was not the valley that changed, but your perception of it." Aaron pondered this as a kindly old woman at the well greeted them and offered cool water. He realized his mind last night had been full of darkness, just like the valley. He saw only fear and dreariness, so that is what the world became to him. Now, with a clearer mind and the sun's illumination, he saw plenty and kindness. The two travellers rested by the well and shared a simple breakfast that a generous villager brought, a loaf of warm bread and sweet ripe figs. As Aaron thanked the villager and savoured the food, he felt humility wash over him. How narrowly he had been seeing. Elan watched him with a knowing look. "Never forget, Aaron, the world is a mirror, reflecting what you carry in your heart. Sometimes you must change the light within before you can see the beauty without." Aaron nodded, determination and newfound hope lighting his face as brightly as the morning sun. Reflection. Aaron's experience is a gentle reminder of a great truth. Our perception shapes our reality. How often do we, like the young traveller, walk through life in a mental night, seeing only the shadows of our fears and disappointments? When our minds are clouded by negativity or limited beliefs, the world can appear barren, unfriendly and cruel. We stumble on unseen obstacles and hear only the echoes of our own doubts. Yet the moment we allow light to enter, the light of understanding, of openness, of a positive mindset, the very same world transforms before our eyes. The rocky path of challenges we complain about may become the stepping stones of growth. The strangers we perceive as hostile may turn out to be kind souls with their own stories and struggles. Nothing outside has changed, and yet everything seems different because the eyes through which we view it have changed. Perception is the lens of the soul. Like a pair of coloured glasses, it can tint all that we behold. If the lens is dirty or darkened by past hurts, every new scene will seem dim. But if we cleanse the lens, wiping it clear with forgiveness, gratitude, and an open mind, we begin to see truth and beauty that were there all along. As Elan told Aaron, the world mirrors back to us what we carry in our hearts. When we carry light, we find light everywhere. This does not mean that there are no real hardships in life. Thorns and rocks do exist on the road and night does fall. But when we face them with clear perception, we are not consumed by the darkness. We can navigate the difficulties with hope and wisdom, seeing through the temporary shadows. We recognize the larger landscape of our life, trusting that dawn will come and reveal meaning in moments that once confounded us. By choosing how we perceive a situation, we exercise a quiet but profound power. We reclaim authorship of our experience. Two people can walk the same path. One finds misery, the other finds joy. The difference lies not in the path, but in the eyes that see. As you journey onward, remember Aaron's lesson. When you feel lost in the dark, pause and tend the light within. Ask yourself, am I seeing this situation through the eyes of fear or the eyes of love? What might look different in the morning light? With a shift of perception, even the most ordinary day can become a revelation, and the once troubled valley of life can bloom into a vista of infinite possibility. Ritual of discovery, seeing in a new light. Prepare your space. Find a quiet, dimly lit room or a peaceful spot at dusk. Bring a candle or small lamp with you, or simply imagine a light. Sit comfortably and take a few deep breaths, allowing your mind and body to become still. Identify a shadow. Gently recall a situation in your life that feels difficult, negative, or in the dark. It could be a conflict, a disappointment, or a fear. Notice how you perceive this situation. What thoughts and emotions arise? Without judgment, acknowledge the shadows you see in it. Light of awareness. If you have a candle or lamp, light it now, focusing on the growing flame. If not, simply imagine a warm light arising before you or within your heart. As the light appears, visualize it illuminating the situation you chose, just as the morning sun illuminated the valley for Aaron. See the details that were hidden in darkness. Allow new insights to come. Are there positive aspects or possibilities you hadn't noticed before? Is there a lesson or silver lining in this experience? Shift your perspective. In the glow of this symbolic light, consciously choose to adjust your lens. Ask yourself, how might someone wise and loving view this situation? Or, what if this challenge is helping me grow? Let compassion and openness colour your view. You are not denying any real difficulties, only broadening your perspective to see more than just the pain. Reflect and record. If you have a journal, write down any new perceptions or understandings that arose. Describe how the situation looked in darkness versus in light. Note at least one thing you can appreciate or learn from it now. Even if the situation remains challenging, acknowledge how your feelings have shifted by seeing it in a new light. Carry the light forward. Gently close the practice by thanking yourself for courageously exploring a new perspective. If you lit a candle, you may extinguish it with gratitude, knowing the light now burns within you. Commit to carrying this inner light of clear perception into the day ahead. The next time you face a dark moment, remember this ritual and the power you have to bring a new light to your eyes. Chapter 2. Intention. Aaron and Elan remained in the village for a day, offering help to the locals as thanks for their hospitality. In the village square that afternoon, a small crowd gathered for a friendly archery contest. Curious, Aaron wandered over, with Elan following at a gentle pace. A target made of straw and painted circles was set up at the far end of the square. Some villagers were taking turns with an old bow, laughing and cheering at each attempt. Most arrows wobbled clumsily and missed the mark. A few stuck into the outer straw, far from the centre. Aaron watched as a young man stepped up, squinting with determination. The youth pulled the bowstring taut and released, but his arrow sailed high, eliciting good-natured chuckles from his friends. Despite the jovial mood, Aaron noticed the frustration on the young man's face. On impulse, Aaron said softly, "May I try?" The villagers handed him the bow. Aaron had some experience hunting small game in his home village, so he felt he could at least avoid embarrassment. He narrowed his eyes at the distant target, drew back the bowstring and let an arrow fly. It struck the bale at the very bottom, nowhere near the painted circles. A few villagers clapped politely, but Aaron's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Elan stepped forward and touched Arun's arm. "Would you permit an old man to shoot?" he asked the villagers, with a humble incline of his head. They murmured assent, though a few hid smiles, doubting the bent old man could even draw the bow. To everyone's surprise, Elan removed his shawl and asked Aaron to tie it around his eyes as a blindfold. A hush fell over the small crowd. Elan stood calmly, blindfolded, facing the target he could not see. He lifted the bow and nocked an arrow with steady grace. Aaron held his breath. Elan drew the string back slowly. In that moment, his presence changed. Though Aaron could not see his teacher's eyes, he felt a focused stillness emanating from him. Elan exhaled and released. The arrow whistled through the warm afternoon air and hit the target with a solid thunk. Astonished cries rose as a villager ran to check. "Bullseye!" the man shouted. Elan smiled beneath the blindfold as the crowd erupted in applause and disbelief. Aaron hurried to untie the cloth from Elan's eyes. The old man's brow was beaded with sweat, but his face shone with quiet satisfaction. "How did you do that?" Aaron blurted, amazed. "You couldn't even see the target." Elan handed the bow back and replied, "There are many ways to see." He thanked the villagers for their kindness and began to move away, signaling for Aaron to follow. But Aaron's mind raced with questions. Once they were on a quieter side street, he pressed, "Master, please, I need to understand what I just saw." "Was it magic?" Elan chuckled. "No magic. Only intention." He tapped his chest over his heart. "When I lifted the bow, I set my intention to hit the center. I pictured it clearly in my mind and felt it in here." He tapped his heart again. "My eyes are old, and with the blindfold I had none at all. But intention guided the arrow." Aaron frowned, still perplexed. "I aimed as well as I could, but I missed." "You aimed with your eyes," Elan said, resuming their walk. "Your mind was scattered, worried about missing, about the villagers watching, about your pride. Your intention was divided." He pointed to a cat that sat serenely on a wall, staring at a small bird on the ground. "See that cat? Every muscle, every breath is aligned toward one purpose, catching that bird. That is focus, yes, but also intention. Nothing exists in the cat's world at this moment except its goal." As they continued on their way, Elan spoke softly. "Intention is more than a wish. It is directing the energy of your whole being toward a purpose. When it is strong and clear, It's as though the universe itself lines up to help you. When I raised the bow, I knew I would hit the target's center, not from arrogance, but with certainty born of clear intention. The rest, my body's movements, the breeze, even the bow, fell into accord with that aim. Aaron listened intently. He thought of times in his life when he succeeded against the odds, like the time he found his lost sister as a child by calling her name into the woods with all his heart. In those moments he had felt that same unwavering resolve. Elan looked at Arun's face and smiled, recognizing the understanding dawning in his student. "Remember," he said, "whether you are shooting an arrow, stirring a pot, or pursuing your greatest dream, when your intention is clear, it will guide your every action, and your arrow will fly true." Arun nodded slowly, the dramatic proof he'd witnessed still glowing in his mind. He resolved that from now on he would not merely wish for outcomes. He would set his intentions consciously, aiming the arrow of his life with purpose and clarity. Reflection. The scene in the village square reveals a subtle law of life. Energy follows intention. Elan's astounding blindfolded shot was not luck or sorcery. It was the natural result of a focused mind and heart. When our intention is clear and strong, it aligns our skills, our actions, and even the unseen currents of life toward its fulfillment. Like an archer drawing back a bow, we gather our power when we decide, with conviction, what it is we are aiming for. How often do we move through our days with our intentions scattered or half-formed? Perhaps we desire change or success, but part of us doubts, part of us fears, part of us is distracted by others' opinions. Our arrow wavers, our effort falters. In such a state, even if we have talent or opportunity, we may miss the mark because our whole being isn't unified toward the goal. Intention is more than a mere wish or passing thought. It is a commitment of spirit. It means choosing a direction and orienting every level of yourself toward it. Your thoughts affirm it, your emotions support it, and your actions express it. When intention is set firmly, obstacles become challenges to be solved rather than impenetrable barriers. You become like that cat stalking its goal with every sense attuned, or the craftswoman whose steady hand carves her vision into wood. In spiritual terms, a pure intention can seem to bend reality. This is not because of supernatural tricks, but because a focused heart notices opportunities and enlists help that a doubting heart would overlook. The universe responds in the sense that when you are clear about what you seek, you recognize doors opening that you might have otherwise walked past. Elan knew he would hit the target because every part of him, mind, body, breath, and belief, was aligned with that outcome. In our own lives, we rarely need to shoot arrows, but we constantly set targets in the form of goals, dreams, or even daily tasks. The principle remains: clarity and unity of intention yield remarkable results. By setting intentions consciously, we infuse even simple acts with meaning. Drinking a cup of water with the intention of nourishing your body transforms it into a small ritual of self-care. Approaching a conversation with the intention of understanding can turn an argument into a healing dialogue. When you live with intention, you live on purpose rather than by accident. Think of a time you achieved something against the odds. If you look deeply, you might recall a moment of decision when you said to yourself, "This is what I'm going to do," and in doing so, dismissed doubt. That was the power of intention at work, guiding you like an inner compass. Going forward, Consider what you truly aim for in your relationships, your work, your personal growth. Are your daily choices and mindset aligned with that aim? If not, remember the lesson of the archer. Still your mind, focus your heart, and take aim once more with clear intention. In doing so, you invite forces seen and unseen to conspire with you. Like an arrow released from the bow of your will, you may find your life moving swiftly and surely toward the mark you have chosen. Ritual of discovery. Setting a sacred intention. Choose your target. Find a quiet moment in a peaceful space. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Now, think of one meaningful goal or change you deeply desire in your life. It could be large or small. What matters is that it truly resonates with your heart. Let this goal crystallize in your mind as a clear target. Craft your intention statement. Open your eyes and write down a single positive sentence that captures your intention. Phrase it as a confident declaration in the present tense. For example, I embrace a healthy lifestyle and nourish my body each day, or I direct my energy toward writing my novel with joy and focus. Ensure the statement reflects your sincere desire and is specific enough to inspire you. Engage mind and heart. Sit with your written intention. Speak it aloud slowly and with conviction. As you do, imagine drawing an arrow of focus within you, like pulling back a bowstring. Visualize the outcome you intend as if it were already real. See yourself living the healthy life or holding the finished book in your hands, whichever goal you chose. Feel the emotions associated with it, the satisfaction, peace, excitement. You are aligning your mind and heart with your aim, much like Elan aligning every part of himself with the bull's eye. Release doubt. Strengthen focus. It's natural for doubts or distractions to flicker in your mind. What if I fail? Or random thoughts. If they arise, acknowledge them and gently let them drift away like passing clouds. Each time, return your focus to your clear intention. You might even imagine doubts as stray arrows falling aside, while your true arrow stays on course. Repeat your intention statement again with even greater certainty. In this moment, nothing else matters except this aim. Symbolic release. If you have a small object like a pebble or leaf, hold it in your hand and pour your intention into it as if it were your arrow. When you feel ready, launch your intention by casting the object into a garden, a moving stream, or simply by blowing it from your palm if it's light. As you release it, silently affirm, I release this intention with trust. May my whole being work together to realize it. Envision your intention flying straight and true toward its target. Daily realignment. Place your written intention somewhere you'll see it each day, on your mirror, fridge, or in a journal. Each morning, take a moment to read it or recall it and reconnect with that focused feeling you cultivated. Regularly realigning with your intention in this way keeps your energy directed. Over time, notice how staying true to your intention invites new opportunities or insights to help you reach your goal. Chapter 3. Visualization. By the second week of their journey, Aaron and Elan had left the farmlands and entered a region of rolling hills and sparse woods. One evening the sky turned a soft purple as the sun dipped low, and they realized they needed to find shelter for the night. In a shallow valley, they spotted the warm glow of a fire outside a modest hut. As they approached, they saw an elderly man seated on a log, tending the fire and humming a gentle tune. Though his eyes were open, Aaron noticed the man did not look directly at them. His gaze seemed fixed on some distant point beyond. "Good evening," Elan called softly so as not to startle him. The old man turned his face toward their voices and broke into a wide grin. "Travellers, you are welcome to share my fire," he said, gesturing for them to sit. "My name is Darpan." Arun and Elan thanked him and settled by the crackling flames. Arun could now see that Darpan's eyes were clouded and milky. He was blind. Despite this, Darpan moved with ease, stirring a pot hung over the fire by instinct and habit. He ladled out a simple herbal broth into wooden bowls and offered it to them. It was fragrant and nourishing. As they ate, night deepened around them. Overhead, the first stars blinked into existence. Darpan tilted his head up. "The stars are especially beautiful tonight," he remarked softly. Aaron glanced upward. Indeed, countless stars now shimmered in the indigo sky. But Darpan's unseeing eyes could not detect them. Aaron exchanged a curious look with Elan, who gave a slight nod encouraging him to speak. "You can tell that the stars are out?" Arun asked gently. Darpan chuckled. "I cannot see them with these eyes." He tapped a finger lightly on his eyelid. "But I see them in my mind. Every night I picture the sky, and it comes alive for me." Aaron was intrigued. As the darkness grew deeper, Darpan began to describe the night sky as he remembered it. The patterns of the constellations and the luminous river of the Milky Way arcing overhead. His descriptions were so vivid that Aaron felt as if he were hearing an ancient poem painted in starlight. "You know the stars so well," Elan observed softly. "I have studied the night sky for many years," Darpan said. "When I had sight as a boy, and even after I lost it, I kept them alive in here." He tapped the side of his head. "Memory and imagination paint the stars brighter than my eyes ever did." Aaron closed his eyes as Darpan spoke, following along in his mind. Listening to the blind man's words, he could indeed envision the constellations in detail. The images glowed against the canvas of Aaron's inner sight. Encouraged by Darpan's friendliness, Aaron asked, "You seem so content and capable even without sight. How do you manage it all?" Darpan smiled, poking the fire. Sparks danced upward, mingling with the starlight. "I manage because I see more than what eyes can see. In my youth, losing my vision was a great sorrow. But in time, I learned an unexpected truth. The inner eye can be far sharper than the outer ones. I began to develop my mind's sight. I visualize everything, my path, my chores, the changing seasons. I imagine it in detail, and it guides me." He continued, "Tomorrow I'll walk to the stream beyond that hill for water. Though I cannot see the path, I have travelled it many times in my mind. I know every tree and stone along the way. If something changes, a fallen tree, a washed-out trail, I simply adjust the picture in my mind and learn the new path." Aaron listened in wonder. Darpan's inner world was vivid and alive, painted by his own intent and focus. Sensing the young man's fascination, Darpan offered gently, "Would you like to try an exercise? I can show you how I see." Aaron nodded eagerly. Elan closed his eyes as well, quietly joining in. "Close your eyes," Darpan instructed. "Now, imagine you are standing in front of your childhood home." Aaron's eyebrows rose, but he did as told. In his mind, he saw the familiar cottage where he grew up, the big neem tree beside the door, the little fence he used to hop over. "Can you see the door?" Darpan asked softly. Yes, Aaron murmured, picturing the rough wooden door with its iron handle. Open it and step inside in your mind, the old man continued. What do you see? Aaron smiled in amazement. He could see the dim interior of the one-room home, his mother's woven mat on the floor, the clay stove in the corner, a shaft of sunlight through the window illuminating dancing dust motes. It was so clear it felt like he was truly there. Darpan's voice was low and soothing. Now imagine someone you love is there, waiting for you. A lump rose in Aaron's throat as his mother's face appeared in the imagined light, warm and gentle. He saw her rise from her seat and place her hands on his shoulders, just as she used to when he came home from playing. Aaron's eyes stung with tears. Though he knew it was only in his mind, he felt his mother's presence as real as day. A tear escaped and rolled down his cheek. After a few moments, Darpan said softly, "Take a deep breath and open your eyes." Aaron opened his eyes and exhaled, a mix of joy and longing in his chest. He quickly wiped his tear, smiling. "I saw my mother," he whispered. "I almost felt her. It was incredible." Darpan reached over and briefly squeezed Aaron's hand. That is the power of visualization. Our minds can bring loved ones close no matter the distance, and likewise, our minds can create what has not yet come to pass, guiding us toward it. Ilan nodded, his own eyes bright. The inner eye is a great gift we often forget to use. Darpan agreed. If you travel only by sight, you may lose your way in darkness or uncertainty. But if you carry a vision within, it will light your path. Before I do anything important, I see it first in my mind. That way, when I set out, part of me has already been there. Aaron thanked Darpan sincerely for sharing his wisdom. They continued to chat a while about how vividly the mind can see. When sleep finally came, Aaron lay under the blanket of stars, feeling inspired and strangely at home in the world of imagination. In the grey hush of early morning, the travellers prepared to depart. Aaron and Ilan bid Darpan farewell with deep gratitude. The old man, smiling, described to them the fork in the road ahead, and which branch to take for safer travels. A final gift of his inner sight. Carrying the blind seer's lesson in his heart, Aaron walked onward with a new confidence. He realized he carried the ability to visualize far more than he had ever tried, and that would light the way forward on the journey ahead. Reflection. In the darkness of that valley, Darpan illuminated a truth. All creation begins in the mind's eye. What we vividly imagine can become a blueprint for what we later experience. The blind sage could not use his physical eyes, yet he saw the stars, the path to the stream, even the faces of friends, all with the inner vision of imagination and memory. Through practice, his inner eye became so keen that it guided him through life as surely as sight guides others. Consider how powerful this ability is, even for those of us with sight. We often underestimate our imagination, dismissing daydreams as idle fantasy. But visualization is not mere wishful thinking. It is a form of intention in images. When we picture something clearly, we give it shape and substance in the subtle realm of mind. Athletes mentally rehearse winning their races. Inventors envision their creations before ever picking up a tool. Spiritual teachers speak of visualizing divine light or healing energy as a step toward making it manifest. In each case, the inner picture prepares the way for reality. Darpan's life shows that visualization can also bring comfort and connection. Aaron, in seeing his mother in his mind, felt real warmth and love. In our own lives, we can call upon the images of loved ones or peaceful places to calm and strengthen us in hard times. The mind's eye transcends physical limits, distance, darkness, even time. We can revisit the past or pre-live a joyful future moment, all through focused imagination. Yet the greatest gift of visualization is perhaps its power to guide us forward. When you carry a vision, as Darpan said, it becomes your inner North Star. Envisioning a positive outcome or a goal achieved helps orient your choices and actions toward it. It keeps hope alive, as you have already seen that better day. Challenges along the way might still arise, but if you've walked the path in your mind, you'll recognize the landmarks of progress and stay motivated to continue. Like any skill, visualization grows stronger with practice. At first, our mental images might be hazy or fleeting, but the more we engage our imagination, adding sensory details, invoking emotion, the more vivid and influential those images become. We start to feel the reality of our vision, and that feeling fuels our belief and effort. Ask yourself, what visions do you hold in your mind, consciously or unconsciously? Do you often imagine worst-case scenarios feeding fear, or do you visualize the best outcomes fueling faith? We have a choice in what we picture. By choosing to regularly visualize what we truly desire, peace, success, healing, love, we train our inner eye to light up the path toward those realities. Remember the blind man mapping his garden in his mind long before the first seed is planted. We too can become architects of our future through the pictures we consistently paint within. See it inside, and you lay the first stone for it to become real outside. Ritual of discovery, opening the inner eye. Set the scene. Find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Sit or lie down and close your eyes. Take several deep, slow breaths. With each exhale, allow your body to relax and your mind to become calm, like a still lake under a night sky. Choose a vision. Decide on something uplifting or meaningful that you wish to visualize. It could be a future goal, like a successful project or a happy occasion. A place you find peaceful, perhaps a forest or seaside, or even a reunion with someone you love. For now, pick one scene or scenario that brings you joy or hope. Engage all senses. In your mind, begin to paint the scene. Start with the setting. Where are you? What does it look like? If it's a place, notice the colors, shapes, and light. If it's an event, see who is there and what is happening. Now, engage your other senses. What can you hear? Gentle wind, laughter, ocean waves. What can you smell? Pine trees, baked bread, salt air. Do you feel anything on your skin? Warm sun, cool breeze. Immerse yourself as fully as possible, adding rich detail to the mental picture. There's no rush. Let the vision become as vivid as a memory. Feel the emotions. As the visualization becomes clear, notice how it makes you feel. Safe, joyful, proud, loved. Allow those positive emotions to arise and wash over you. If you're visualizing a goal achieved, feel the satisfaction and excitement as though it's happening now. If it's a peaceful place, soak in the tranquility and comfort. Bask in these feelings. They are the soul's acknowledgement of your vision. Anchor and return. Gently repeat a simple phrase that affirms this vision, such as, I see it, I feel it, and I welcome it into my life. Or create your own short affirmation. Let that thought sink in. When you're ready, take a deep breath and slowly open your eyes. You might jot down a few keywords or draw a simple sketch to capture the essence of what you saw as a reminder. Know that what you envisioned now exists on the inner plane. You have lit your inner lantern. Carry that image in your heart as you go about your day and revisit it whenever you need guidance, motivation, or comfort. Each time you practice, the inner eye opens wider and the vision grows closer to reality. Chapter 4. Manifestation. The landscape grew harsher as Aaron and Elan pressed onward. By midday they were traversing a rocky expanse under a fierce sun. The green hills had given way to dry scrub and red earth. With each step, fine dust rose around their ankles. By late afternoon, Aaron's throat was parched and their water skin nearly empty. They paused to rest in the scant shade of a boulder. Aaron took the last sip from the water skin, carefully wetting his cracked lips. Worry crept into his mind. "Master," he said quietly, "we have no water left. The map we got in the last village said there's a river somewhere ahead, but I see no sign of it. What if we don't find it before nightfall?" Elan, though sweating and tired himself, gave Aaron an encouraging smile. "We will find what we need. Do not let fear cloud your mind now. Remember what you have learned. Set your intention, hold the vision, and trust." Aaron nodded, trying to push back his anxiety. They resumed walking, but the heat made each mile feel longer than the last. The sun hung low, golden against the brassy sky, when they reached a barren stretch strewn with stones. No trees, no glint of water, just shimmering air. Aaron's hope began to wane. His tongue felt heavy and dry. A mild dizziness told him dehydration was setting in. Elan's steps were slowing too. Finally, Elan halted and leaned on his staff. "This is a good place," he murmured. "A good place for what?" Aaron wondered, looking around at the emptiness. "To ask for what we need," Elan replied. He closed his eyes, lifted his face toward the sky, and whispered a few words Aaron couldn't hear. Then he fell silent, as if praying or listening. Aaron swallowed, his throat aching. He recalled Elan's lesson of intention and Darpan's lesson of visualization. "What if I try to manifest water?" he thought. It felt a bit foolish to imagine that mere thought could summon a stream in the desert. But he had seen enough on this journey to keep an open mind. He closed his eyes tightly and steadied his breathing. In his mind, he pictured a clear spring of water bubbling up from the ground, or the bend of a river around the next rocky hill. He imagined walking up to that water, cupping his hands and drinking the cool, sweet liquid. He focused all his senses on that image, the sound of trickling water, the gleam of it catching twilight's glow, the taste quenching his thirst, the coolness on his skin. He set a clear intention. "We will find water very soon." Aaron also whispered a heartfelt plea, half in prayer and half in declaration. "Let water be provided to us. I trust that it's here nearby, waiting to be found." As he spoke, he tried to summon a feeling of certainty, as if thanking the world for a gift that was already on its way. Moments passed. The desert remained silent. Aaron opened his eyes. Nothing had obviously changed. No spring magically gushing forth at his feet. The sun was now a crimson disk touching the horizon, and long shadows stretched from every rock. Elan met his gaze with a knowing look. "Come, let us carry on gently. Dusk is a friend." They walked on into the deepening twilight. Aaron felt oddly calmer. His visualization had at least given him a momentary relief. He could almost taste the water in his mind. Now a quiet determination steadied him. With darkness approaching, the air grew cooler and easier to breathe. As stars began to appear, Ilan suddenly stopped and sniffed the air. "Do you smell that?" he asked. Aaron inhaled. On the light evening breeze came a faint, fresh scent that made his heart leap. "Water! I smell damp earth!" he exclaimed. It was true. Somewhere ahead there was moisture. Spurred on, they followed their noses. Soon they heard something else, a distant tinkling sound unmistakable to thirsty ears. It was the gentle sound of flowing water. They scrambled over a ridge of stones, and there, in a hollow between hills, was a narrow brook glistening in the last light of dusk. A small spring bubbled up from between rocks, feeding the brook. Desert grasses and ferns grew in a ring around the precious water source. Aaron laughed aloud in pure relief. He rushed forward and knelt at the brook, dipping his hands in and drinking deeply. The water was cool and tasted of earth and life itself. Ilan drank as well, sighing appreciatively. After their thirst was slaked, they filled their water skin anew. Aaron looked around and noticed something shining on a flat stone near the spring. It looked like a smooth, hollowed gourd, perfect for carrying water. Someone must have left it there, perhaps a traveller before them. It was as if everything they needed had been laid out by a caring hand. Aaron's mind raced back to the intention he had set. Had he somehow caused this spring to appear on their path? Perhaps the spring was always here on the map, just a bit off the main road, but they could easily have missed it in the dark. Was it chance that the wind carried the scent of water to them, or that the spring still flowed despite the dry season? Aaron felt in his bones that more than chance was at play. Ilan placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "You see, manifestation is not always a thunderclap or a sudden miracle," he said softly. "Often it is a quiet co-creation. You opened your mind to the possibility of water, and so you noticed the subtle signs leading here, the smell, the sound, that you might have otherwise ignored in despair." Aaron realized it was true. If he had remained panicked and hopeless, he might not have paid attention to the faint scent on the breeze or the distant sound of a brook. Their intention had attuned them to find what they sought. They made a small camp by the spring that night, grateful and rehydrated. As Aaron lay on his back looking at the canopy of stars, he felt a profound gratitude. Earlier that day he'd feared they would go thirsty, perhaps even perish. Yet by envisioning the outcome they needed and moving forward in trust, they had been guided to exactly the right spot. He remembered something Ilan had said. When intention is strong and clear, the universe lines up to help you. Here was the truth of it. Water had been provided. Maybe one could say it was coincidence, but in Aaron's heart it felt like a gentle form of magic, the kind that happens when one's will and faith dance in harmony with the world. Before he drifted into sleep, Aaron silently thanked whatever benevolent forces had heard their call. He understood now that manifesting didn't mean conjuring something from nothing like a wizard. It often meant recognizing the opportunities and resources that were already present, drawn into your path by the energy of your focus and trust. With that comforting thought, he closed his eyes, listening to the lullaby of the bubbling spring. Reflection. Manifestation is the art of bringing the unseen into the seen, of translating a thought or desire into reality. In the desert, Aaron learned that manifesting one's needs isn't about instant miracles on command. It's a gentle collaboration with the universe. When he set his intention for water and visualized it clearly, He primed both his mind and the world around him for that outcome. He didn't materialize a stream out of thin air, but he opened himself to guidance, a whiff of damp air, a distant sound that led to the water waiting for them. This is how manifestation often works in our lives. We plant a seed of desire with clear intention and faith, and then life responds in subtle ways. Perhaps we meet someone by chance who has the exact advice or opportunity we need, or a door opens at the right moment, one we might not have knocked on if our heart hadn't been set on a goal. Skeptics call it coincidence. The spiritually minded sense a deeper design, a synchronicity. At its core, manifestation requires three key elements: a clear vision of what you seek, a genuine belief, or at least openness, that it can happen, and a willingness to act or respond when nudges come your way. If any one of these is missing, the process may stall. A clear vision without belief is daydreaming. Belief without vision can be directionless hope, and vision and belief without action might miss the earthly steps needed to realize the goal. But when all three align, we become like gardeners working with nature. We till the soil of our minds, plant a seed, and trust the sun and rain to play their part, tending to any sprouts that appear. It's important to note that manifestation is not about controlling every detail of life or forcing your will on the world. Rather, it's about co-creation. You set the intention, and the universe sets the timing and manner. Sometimes what manifests is not exactly what you envisioned, but it often fulfills the essence of your desire. For example, you might visualize a specific job, but what comes is a different opportunity that still brings you the growth and fulfillment you wanted. The water that appears may not be a lake where you expected, but a hidden spring off the beaten path. Another subtle aspect is the energy you hold while manifesting. If Aaron had remained panicked and full of doubt, he might have walked right past the spring, too distraught to notice it. When we dwell in fear or obsession about a desire, we actually constrict our awareness. In contrast, when we ask with clarity and then step forward with an open, trusting heart, as Aaron did after his visualization, we broaden our awareness. We become attentive to signs, intuitive hints, and opportunities that resonate with our goal. Gratitude also plays a role. To manifest is to receive, and cultivating gratitude even before the gift arrives, thanking the universe in advance, as Aaron did in his own way, sets a welcoming space for your desire to take form. It shifts your mindset from lack to receptivity. Manifestation is the bridge between the world of imagination and the physical world. Each of us is a bridge builder. With every hopeful vision and each act of trust, we lay down planks on which our dreams can walk across into our reality. And when at last the thing we sought arrives, we often marvel at how it unfolded, not just from our efforts alone, but through a series of connected events that feel like grace. That is the quiet magic of manifesting. It makes us participants in our own miracles. Ritual of discovery. Co-creating your reality. Define your desire. Find a quiet moment to turn inward. With pen and paper in hand, write down one heartfelt desire or goal that you would like to manifest. Start with something specific yet meaningful. Perhaps finding a fulfilling new job in my field, or healing the relationship with my sibling, or saving enough to travel to the place I dream of. Ensure it's phrased positively. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Imagine it real. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Visualize your life as if this desire has come true. What does a day in that reality look like? See yourself experiencing the fulfilled desire, walking through the office of that new job, laughing with your sibling over coffee, or standing before the landmarks of the place you long to visit. Engage your senses and emotions. Feel the pride, joy, peace, or excitement of this manifestation. Spend a few minutes in this inner movie, letting it unfold. Affirm and intend. Open your eyes and write an affirmation or intention statement for this desire as if it is already in motion. For example, I am grateful for the meaningful job that has come into my life, where I use my talents and feel valued, or my relationship with my sibling is healing and filled with understanding and love. Write it in a confident, affirmative tone. This statement bridges your vision and reality with words. Take a step. Now ask yourself, what is one small step I can take toward this goal? It could be updating your resume, sending a kind message to your sibling, researching travel costs. Something modest but concrete. Write down this action, and if possible, do it at the earliest opportunity. Taking an action shows your commitment and creates momentum. It's like watering the seed you've planted. Release and trust. After doing the visualization and writing, take a moment to feel gratitude. Say a simple prayer or message of thanks to the universe, or life, or your faith for hearing your desire. For instance, thank you for supporting me in bringing this vision to life. As you express gratitude, allow yourself to release attachment to the exact way or timing your goal will manifest. Know that you have set the wheels in motion. Now life can meet you halfway in its own wise timing. Stay attentive. In the coming days and weeks, remain open and attentive to synchronicities or opportunities related to your goal. Perhaps you'll see a job posting unexpectedly, or your sibling will reach out to you, or you'll come across an article about the place you want to visit. When such signs appear, act on them. Keep your written intention somewhere you can see it and revisit your visualization periodically to reinforce your energy. Trust that your clear desire, backed by belief and action, is heard. Even if results come gradually, each small confirmation is a step closer. With patience and perseverance, you will witness how your inner vision blossoms into reality. Chapter 5. Faith. 2 days later, Aaron and Elan reached a small mountain hamlet nestled among high cliffs. They arrived to find the village in a state of anxious anticipation. The land was cracked and dry. It had not rained in many weeks, and the crops in the terraced fields were withering. That evening, the villagers gathered in the central square for a special prayer ceremony to call for rain. Aaron and Elan, as travellers passing through, were invited to join. Dozens of people formed a circle around a stone altar. The village elder led chants and prayers, his voice echoing against the surrounding cliffs. Many villagers bowed their heads, murmuring pleas to the sky. Aaron stood beside Elan, observing the crowd. He noticed that among them was a little girl about 8 years old, standing calmly with a small clay pot in her arms. She was smiling softly, unlike the worried adults around her. The elder's chants grew louder, and the people raised their hands in unison, beseeching the heavens for mercy. The air was still and dry. Not a cloud marred the stars above. After an hour, the ceremony concluded. Some villagers looked uplifted by the act of prayer, while others sighed, disappointment already creeping into their faces. It was clear that this ritual had been repeated many times recently, yet the sky remained unchanged. The crowd began to disperse, but the little girl with the clay pot did something curious. Aaron watched as she walked to the edge of the dusty fields and carefully set her pot on the ground, as if placing it to catch something. Then she ran back to her mother, who patted her head absent-mindedly, eyes still on the sky. Aaron approached the child gently. "What are you doing?" he asked softly. "Putting out my pot to catch the rainwater," she replied, with innocent certainty. Aaron glanced at the cloudless sky and then back at her hopeful face. "You believe it will rain tonight?" The girl nodded vigorously. "Mama says the prayers might bring rain. I want to be ready. I cleaned my pot so the water will be good to drink. We need water for our garden," she added, as if explaining a simple fact. Elan had come up behind Arun and heard the exchange. He smiled at the girl and knelt down to her level. "You have a lot of faith, little one," he said kindly. The girl tilted her head. "What's faith?" Elan responded gently. "It means you trust something will happen even if you can't see it yet." "Oh," she said, considering. "Well, Papa always said rain comes when we truly need it. We truly need it now, so I trust the sky will answer." With that, she bid them good night and went inside her cottage with her mother. Aaron carried the image of the girl's clay pot in his mind, as he and Elan settled in the small home of a hospitable farmer for the night. The farmer shook his head when Aaron mentioned the girl. "Children have such pure hope," he sighed. "Us, we pray too, but—" He didn't finish his sentence, but Aaron understood his doubt. Later, in the dark single-room hut where they slept on woven mats, Aaron whispered to Elan, "Do you think it will rain?" The sky was so clear. Elan's eyes glinted in the light of the low oil lamp. Instead of answering directly, he said, "The villagers prayed, but how many truly believed their prayers would be answered tonight? That little girl behaved as if it were a certainty. She made preparations for blessings not yet seen. That is faith." Aaron nodded, recalling how most villagers left with worried faces, already assuming nothing would change. He realized he too had no expectation of rain tonight. He was simply hoping for it abstractly. But the girl had acted on the expectation of rain. Sometime after midnight, Aaron was woken by a sound on the roof, a soft patter. At first he wondered if he was dreaming, but then it grew louder, the unmistakable drumming of rain on the thatch. He sat up with a start and saw Elan already awake, eyes closed and face lifted as if savouring the sound. Thunder rumbled gently in the distance. The farmer who had been sleeping by the hearth rushed to the door and let out a joyous cry, waking his family. Aaron and Elan stepped outside into the cool night. Rain was pouring from the sky in silvery sheets. Villagers were emerging from their homes, laughing and shouting thanks to the heavens. Some danced in the downpour. The dry earth drank greedily. Little rivulets began forming along the paths. By the light of a flickering torch, Aaron spotted the little girl running with her mother toward the field where her pot had been placed. In the rain, he saw her spinning and giggling. Once the shower eased a bit, she proudly showed her mother the clay pot, now brimming with fresh rainwater. The next morning, under a freshly washed blue sky, the village was transformed with celebration. The drought had broken. People moved with renewed energy to tend their revived fields, and a communal feast was being prepared to thank the divine for the rain. Before departing, Aaron and Elan visited the family of the little girl. They found her carefully watering her thirsty garden with the water from her pot, singing to herself. The girl's parents greeted the travellers warmly. Our child kept saying all day yesterday, "Don't worry, the rain is coming." Honestly, we didn't believe her. But she was right, the father said, shaking his head in amazement. Aaron crouched down by the girl who was patting wet soil around a plant. "How did you know?" he asked. She shrugged shyly. "I just felt it. I asked the sky and I felt it would listen." On the road again, Aaron was quiet for a long time, absorbing what he had witnessed. Finally he said to Elan, "I see now what you meant by faith." That child didn't just hope for rain, she trusted it would come. So she acted as though it was certain, and she wasn't even surprised when it did come. Ellen nodded. Faith is a powerful force. It doesn't guarantee life will always give us what we ask for, but it keeps our hearts open to miracles. It teaches us to prepare for blessings, to live in a state of trust rather than doubt. As they followed the mountain path out of the village, everything smelled of damp earth and new beginnings. Aaron inhaled deeply, feeling his own spirit refreshed. He silently promised himself to remember the lesson of the little clay pot, to hold on to faith even when the sky looks empty, and to prepare for the blessings he seeks, as if they are already on their way. Reflection. The story of the little girl and her rain pot illustrates the essence of faith, acting with trust in an outcome before it's confirmed by your senses. Faith is often described as belief in things unseen. It is the inner certainty that bridges the gap between our prayers and the answer, our desires, and their fulfillment. When the villagers prayed for rain, most of them were hoping but also fearing disappointment. The child, in her innocence, showed pure faith. She trusted so completely that rain would come that she made tangible preparations for it. In life, faith can take many forms. It can be spiritual, like faith in a higher power or the benevolence of the universe. It can also be a secular confidence, faith in yourself, faith in the goodness of others, or faith that things will work out eventually. At its core, faith is a choice to live with trust rather than despair, even when evidence is not yet in sight. It doesn't ignore reality. The little girl knew there was a drought, yet her heart chose to trust that a change would come. One of the beautiful qualities of true faith is that it inspires action. Because the girl believed in the rain's arrival, she placed her pot out. Similarly, if you have faith that you will find a job, you update your resume and keep applying even after setbacks. If you have faith in healing, you continue treatments and envision recovery even on hard days. Faith energizes our efforts because deep down we operate as though the outcome is not only possible, but awaiting us if we persevere. This inner conviction can sometimes make the critical difference between giving up and eventual success. It's important to distinguish faith from mere wishful thinking or complacency. Faith is not sitting back and expecting the universe to cater to us without any participation on our part, nor is it a denial of challenges. Real faith often coexists with uncertainty and acknowledges difficulties, yet it chooses to trust anyway. It says, "Yes, the night is dark, but I believe the dawn will come, so I will light a candle and watch for the first light." It has a courageous, proactive quality. There is also a humility in faith. When we have faith, we are admitting that there are forces beyond our control and understanding at work, and we trust those forces to be kind. In the drought, The villagers could not make it rain by sheer will, but through prayer and faith they opened a door for grace. Faith is leaving that space in our hearts for the unexpected help or solution to enter. Another aspect is the peace that faith brings. Carrying constant doubt and worry is exhausting. It's like bearing the weight of the world alone. Faith lightens that load. When you genuinely trust, you relax a little. You may not know how or when things will work out, but trusting that they will in the way that's best provides comfort and strength to keep going. Arun felt this when he saw the child's trust. Later, smelling the rain-soaked earth, he too felt renewed and hopeful, his spirit nourished. Faith also has a self-fulfilling quality. A person who moves through life with faith often attracts positive outcomes, partly because their hopeful outlook keeps them responsive to opportunities, as we saw with manifestation, and partly, some would say, because the universe responds to the energy of belief. Even when outcomes differ from our expectations, faith helps us find meaning. If the rain had not come that night, the child might have kept believing it would come soon, and that belief would sustain her community until it did. Think about areas in your life where you hesitate or harbour doubt. What would it look like to approach them with faith instead? Not blind faith that ignores reality, but a conscious decision to trust that good can come. Perhaps it's faith that you will find love again after heartbreak, or faith that a tough situation will teach you and pass. When you have that faith, you start preparing your life to receive the good you anticipate, like setting out the vessel to catch the rain. Faith is a subtle, powerful force of the heart. It asks us to believe in the unseen and to live as if the outcome we hope for is on its way. In doing so, we align ourselves with the possibility of miracles. In the end, whether or not a specific prayer is answered in the way we expect, faith itself transforms us. It keeps our spirit alive, our attitude positive, and our actions inspired. As the saying goes, faith can move mountains, or sometimes bring rain from an empty sky. Ritual of discovery, living as if, practicing faith. Identify your dry spell. Take a moment to reflect on an area of your life where you've been longing for a change or a blessing that hasn't arrived yet. It might be a goal that feels out of reach, a problem that seems unsolvable, or a hope you've almost given up on. Write down what it is you desire. For example, I want to find a supportive partner, or I hope to get accepted into a program, or I need a breakthrough in my finances. Set a prayer or intention. Now, in whatever way feels natural, a prayer to the divine, a wish cast into the universe, or a heartfelt statement to yourself. Express your desire and ask for help or guidance. You might say or write something like, I ask for the right partner to come into my life, or I pray for the opportunity to advance my education, or I seek and welcome a financial breakthrough. Say it with humility and sincerity, acknowledging this is something you deeply hope for. Prepare the vessel. Find a physical object to serve as a symbol of your faith and readiness to receive. It could be a small bowl, a cup, a jar, or any container, like the little girl's clay pot, that you will designate as your vessel for blessings. Take a moment to clean it or rinse it out, symbolizing making space for the new. Place it in a special spot in your home, perhaps on a windowsill, a shelf, or your personal altar. As you set it down, affirm quietly, I am making room for this blessing in my life. Live as if, Each day, whenever you see your vessel, let it remind you to act as if your prayer is being answered. For instance, if you're seeking a new job, you might keep your workspace organized and your skills sharp, as though you know an opportunity is on its way. If you're hoping for love, you might clear out a drawer for a future partner, or spend time becoming the kind of person you'd want to be with. The idea is to demonstrate your faith through preparation. Just as one might carry an umbrella when truly believing in the rain, find a practical or symbolic action you can do that aligns with the outcome you trust will come. Surrender, worry, embrace trust. Whenever you catch yourself worrying or doubting, what if it never happens, gently shift your focus. Look at your vessel and remember that it's waiting to be filled. You might even pour a little water into it as a tangible reminder that the universe can fill our empty cups when the time is right. Take a few deep breaths and, on each exhale, release a bit of your anxiety. On each inhale, breathe in trust. Remind yourself that you have done what you can to prepare. Now, life can meet you in its own way and time. Keep your heart open to surprises. Just as rain often comes when least expected, your answered prayer may arrive in a form or timing you didn't anticipate. With your vessel ready, you are prepared to welcome it whenever it appears. Chapter 6. Alignment. Following a winding path high into the mountains, Arun and Ilan eventually arrived at a serene monastery perched on a cliff's edge. The monks there welcomed the weary travellers with warm bowls of barley soup and quiet smiles. Before dawn the next day, Arun awoke to a gentle bell and found Ilan already up, ready to join the monks for their morning meditation and chant. They followed a robed monk through corridors lit by oil lamps to a great hall open to the eastern sky. About 20 monks gathered there, sitting cross-legged on mats. Arun and Ilan were invited to sit among them. In the pre-dawn glow, the elder monk struck a gong. A deep silence fell over the hall. Then, as the first rays of sun peeked over distant peaks, the monks began to chant a single resonant Om in unison. The sound was low and powerful, vibrating through the floor and Arun's very chest. Arun tried to join in the Om, but unfamiliar with the practice, his voice wavered, a bit higher and out of sync with the rest. The unified sound of the monks wobbled for a moment due to his off-key addition. He flushed with embarrassment and hushed his voice, listening intently instead. A kindly monk beside him whispered, "Breathe with us. Let the sound carry you." The monks intoned another long Om. Arun closed his eyes, inhaled deeply, and this time he waited half a breath before adding his voice, matching their pitch and rhythm as best he could. Suddenly, he felt it, the moment his voice merged seamlessly into the chorus. The vibration of the collective chant enveloped him. His own tone stabilized, guided by the harmony around him. The voices of 20 men sounded as one, rich and steady. Arun sensed his body relaxing, his mind clear, as if each cell in him had fallen into the same rhythm. The rising sun bathed the hall in gold, and in that alignment of voices and intent, he felt a profound peace. After the ceremony, the abbot of the monastery, a wise old man with bright eyes, spoke with Arun and Ilan. Over tea, the abbot said, "When all our voices aligned this morning, did you feel the power in it?" Arun nodded eagerly. "Yes, it was like I became part of something bigger. It felt effortless and strong at the same time." The abbot smiled. That is the beauty of alignment. Whether it's voices in chant, the wheels of a clock, or the efforts of a person with the flow of life, When they synchronize, energy moves without resistance. Initially, your voice wavered because you were trying to force it. But when you listened and attuned to the group, you naturally fell into harmony. Ilan sipped his tea, his eyes twinkling. Alignment in life is much the same, I suspect. Just so, replied the abbot. Each of us has a certain rhythm and purpose inside us, like a unique note in the cosmic choir. We often struggle when we try to sing someone else's note or rush ahead of life's timing. But if we get quiet and listen for our part, we find where we fit, and things begin to flow. Aaron thought of times he had forced plans that fell apart, versus times he followed his intuition, and things clicked. Aligning with his true path, he realized, felt like that harmonious chant, natural and supported. Before they departed, the abbot showed them the monastery's water wheel by a stream. The wheel turned smoothly, perfectly aligned to the current, generating power for the monastery's needs. Aligned with the flow, the abbot said, pointing to the wheel, instead of fighting the current. As they left, carrying these insights, Aaron felt lighter. He resolved to practice listening inwardly for his own note and aligning his actions with the greater flow of life, rather than always pushing and straining. The memory of the unified Om still echoed warmly in his chest, a reminder of what true alignment could bring. Reflection. Alignment in a spiritual sense means being in tune with ourselves, with others, and with a larger flow of life. When Aaron's voice synchronized with the monk's chant, he experienced how effortless and powerful things can be when alignment is achieved. In that moment, many voices became one voice. Similarly, when the different parts of our being, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, are aligned toward the same good purpose, we move through life with greater ease and impact. Much of our struggle comes from inner misalignment. We might say we want peace, but feed our minds with anxious thoughts, or pursue a goal that our heart isn't truly in. It's like trying to row a boat with oars pulling in opposite directions. Progress is slow or chaotic until we straighten out and let all parts of us work together. When we do align internally, mind-believing, heart-loving, and body-acting in harmony, it's as if we click into gear. Suddenly momentum happens. We catch the current instead of fighting it. Alignment also involves attuning to something larger than ourselves. Just as the monastery's water wheel turned with the stream's flow, we are most effective when we align with the natural rhythms and divine timing of life. This might mean honoring the timing of opportunities, acting when intuition says it's the right moment, or aligning one's work with a higher purpose or values. When you're aligned with your purpose, work doesn't feel as draining. It can even feel exhilarating, like that resonant Om energizing, rather than exhausting the monks. In relationships or teamwork, alignment is key as well. A family or group in sync can handle challenges gracefully, each member playing their part. When misaligned through miscommunication or conflicting intentions, the same group struggles. Think of an orchestra. If even one instrument is out of tune, the harmony suffers. But tune it correctly, and the collective music soars. How can we find alignment? Often by pausing and listening, as Aaron did. Listening inwardly to discern our true values and desires, our personal note, and listening outwardly to the needs and timing of the world around us. It's a dance between inner truth and outer reality. When the two meet, we experience flow. tasks become smoother, outcomes naturally fall into place, and we feel a supportive presence guiding us. In essence, alignment is about coherence and harmony. It is living in integrity with yourself and in harmony with a greater whole. Whenever you feel life is a constant uphill battle, it might be a call to realign, to adjust your course until you, like that water wheel, are carried by the stream of life rather than spun against it. In alignment, our individual strength joins a greater force, and what we can achieve together, with ourselves or with others, multiplies. Ritual of discovery. Finding your flow, scan for discord, sit quietly and take a few slow breaths. Think about an area of your life where you've been encountering a lot of friction or struggle lately. It could be your work, a relationship, or even an internal conflict. Write down in a few words what feels out of sync for you. For example, I feel like my job doesn't fit who I am, or I'm always arguing with my sibling, or I want to be healthy but keep slipping into bad habits. Identify the elements. Now consider the components at play. Are your actions aligned with your goals in this area? Are your words aligned with your true feelings? Is what you're pursuing aligned with your core values? Jot down any mismatches you notice. Maybe you realize you value creativity, but your job is purely mechanical, or you value honesty but haven't expressed your true feelings to your sibling. Align your breath, quick coherence. Close your eyes and place a hand on your heart. Begin breathing slowly and deeply. Inhale to a count of 4, exhale to a count of 4, and imagine your breath flowing in and out through your heart center. As you breathe, set an intention to align yourself. You might think of it as tuning an instrument. With each breath, you are tuning your mind, heart, and body to the same frequency. If it helps, quietly say an affirmation like, "I am centered and in harmony," or "I align with my true purpose." Do this for a minute or two, feeling a sense of calm and unity within. Visualize harmony. Still in this calm state, visualize yourself in that challenging area of life, but now everything is working in harmony. See yourself at work feeling engaged and authentic, or calmly talking with your sibling and understanding each other. Imagine the ease and flow of the situation when all parts are aligned, your intentions, your feelings, your actions, and the environment supporting you. Let this image impress upon you how alignment would feel, likely more peaceful, empowered, and clear. Take a realignment step. Open your eyes and consider one concrete adjustment you can make to encourage alignment in that area. It might be a conversation you need to have to align communication with feelings, a change in routine to align actions with health goals, or even a decision to explore a new opportunity, to align work with your passion. Write down this step. Commit to it in the coming days. Each time you implement a change that brings you into greater harmony with your true self and values, notice how much more in flow things become. Keep your written notes as a reminder to periodically check. Whenever life feels like it's grinding gears, pause and seek alignment again, through breath, through listening, and through adjusting your course until the inner and outer are once again moving together. Chapter 7. Gratitude. The path down from the mountains led Aaron and Elan through a dense forest. After days of travel, they reached a humble roadside shrine where a lone traveller was resting. The man wore tattered clothes and had a small cart with a broken wheel carrying his belongings. Despite his situation, He was whistling a merry tune as he tended a tiny fire to make tea. Aaron and Ellen greeted him and asked if they might share the fire for a short rest. "Certainly, friends," the man exclaimed. He introduced himself as Joran, a wandering peddler. Noticing their weary faces, Joran insisted on pouring each of them a cup of his spiced tea. As they sipped the warm brew, Aaron couldn't help but notice how little Joran had. The cart contained only a few bundles of simple wares, and the wheel looked beyond repair. "It seems you've had some trouble with your cart," Aaron remarked sympathetically. Joran laughed, scratching his head. "Oh yes, the wheel broke on a rock a mile back. I've been dragging it since. I lost a few pots when it tipped too, but thankfully most of my goods are fine." Aaron was struck by his cheerful tone. "You don't seem too upset. Weren't those pots your livelihood?" The peddler shrugged with a smile. "I can replace pots. I'm just grateful my teapot here didn't shatter. Then I'd miss out on sharing a warm drink with new friends." He lifted his tin teapot appreciatively. Elon grinned. "Despite the mishap, you find something to be thankful for." Joran nodded earnestly. "There's always something to be grateful for. Look at this lovely forest giving me wood for a fire and clean water from that stream to brew my tea. And now I have company. Truly, it's a good day." Aaron felt a pang of humility. He recalled times he had been far less content over far smaller problems. Here was a man who had every reason to complain, alone, cart broken, plans delayed, yet he radiated joy for what remained. Before they parted, Aaron and Elan helped Joran mend his cart as best as possible with spare rope. The peddler thanked them profusely but insisted he was already blessed to have met such kind people. "This day will make a great story," Joran beamed. "I'll remember it whenever things get tough, to remind me how fortune shines in little ways." As Aaron waved goodbye, he realized Joran had given him far more than tea. He had demonstrated the secret of a happy heart, counting blessings instead of losses. Walking on, Aaron quietly began listing things he was grateful for. The taste of warm spice on his tongue, the sturdy walking stick Elan had carved him, the golden sunlight filtering through the trees. With each thought of gratitude, his spirit felt lighter and richer, as if he carried a treasure that couldn't be seen but was deeply felt. Reflection. Gratitude is often called the mother of all virtues, and for good reason. In Joran's simple joy over what remained rather than despair over what was lost, we see how gratitude transforms an experience. It is a choice to focus on abundance rather than lack. Life will inevitably hand us loss, difficulty or inconvenience, a broken wheel, spilled pots, unexpected delays. But even in these moments, there are gifts if we have eyes to see them. The remaining teapot, the friendly company, the fire and water freely given by nature. When we practice gratitude, we shift our perspective fundamentally. The external situation might not change immediately, but our experience of it does. Aaron discovered that as he began to count his own blessings, however small or ordinary, his mood lifted and his journey suddenly felt richer. Gratitude turns what we have into enough and more. It reveals the hidden threads of goodness weaving through our days. Spiritually, gratitude is a form of acknowledgement. It's saying to the universe, or to the divine, or simply to life, I notice and appreciate the goodness present. In doing so, we open our hearts. A heart that is open and thankful tends to receive even more, because it's not closed off in bitterness or fear. It's no wonder that those who cultivate gratitude often describe feeling more contentment and even serendipitous blessings coming their way. Whether that is because of a mystical law or simply because a grateful mind is more aware of opportunities, the effect is very real. Gratitude also grounds us in the present moment. When we pause to feel thankful, we are essentially saying, right here, right now, there is something good. That anchors us in the now, rather than anxiously projecting into the future or dwelling on past regrets. It's a gentle form of mindfulness. Importantly, gratitude doesn't mean ignoring problems or pain. It's not a fake positivity that denies difficulties. Rather, it's a decision to shine light in the darkness. It gives us strength to cope with troubles by reminding us of the resources and hope still at hand. Joran still had to fix his cart, but his grateful attitude made that challenge feel surmountable and kept his spirit bright through it. A simple way to invite more gratitude is to regularly list things you're thankful for, like Aaron did in his mind. Over time, this habit trains us to automatically notice blessings throughout the day. A kind word from a stranger, a meal on the table, even the breath in our lungs. Each item is like a small jewel we collect, enriching us. The beauty of gratitude is that it is accessible to anyone at any time. No matter how bleak things appear, there is always some small spark that can be kindled. And as that spark of thankfulness grows, it can illuminate even the darkest of nights. In nurturing gratitude, we discover that we already possess a treasure trove of grace in our lives, and that realization is itself perhaps the greatest gift. Ritual of discovery, the gratitude light. Morning or evening. Pause. Choose a consistent time each day to practice gratitude, either first thing in the morning or right before bed, or both if you like. If morning, do this before you dive into the day's tasks. If evening, do it as the last thing before sleep. Find a quiet moment, take a few deep breaths and bring your awareness into the present. Name your blessings. Think of 3 or more things you are grateful for right now. They can be as simple as the warmth of my blanket or as profound as the love of my family. There's no wrong answer. If it brings you even a hint of gladness, it counts. If you have a journal, write them down in a list. If not, just silently speak them in your mind or whisper them aloud. Savor each one for a few seconds as you acknowledge it. Visualize placing each thought of gratitude like a bright candle in a lantern, bringing light to your heart. Feel it in your heart. After listing each item, pause and truly feel the appreciation. For example, if you noted gratitude for a friend, picture that friend's face and let warmth fill you. If you're thankful for the meal you had, place a hand on your stomach and be aware of its comfort. Allow a smile if it comes naturally. This step is about moving from thinking gratitude to feeling gratitude, letting the sensation of thankfulness expand. Carry the light forward. If you wrote a list, you might fold the page or keep a little notebook of daily gratitude. Over time, you'll accumulate a record of blessings that you can reread whenever you feel down, to remind you of the light in your life. If you didn't write them, you can still carry the gratitude with you by choosing a simple token, a small stone or a coin, to keep in your pocket that day. Each time you touch it, recall one thing you're grateful for. Let it be a gentle reminder that, just like Joran with his teapot, you always have some goodness to focus on. Notice as the days go by if this practice changes your outlook. Often, the more we practice gratitude, the more we naturally spot reasons to be grateful, turning our life into an ever brighter lantern of blessings. Chapter 8. Compassion. A day after leaving the forest, Aaron and Ilan found themselves on a rugged plain. As the sun dipped low, a figure sprang from behind a boulder, a ragged man brandishing a dagger. "Your money or your life," the bandit snarled, though his voice trembled slightly. Aaron's heart leapt in fear, but Ilan stepped calmly in front of him. With a steady gaze, Ilan addressed the bandit. "Friend, we have little of value, save perhaps some bread. Are you hungry? We could share." The bandit seemed taken aback for an instant, but desperation hardened his face. He lunged forward. Ilan, though old, moved swiftly. With his wooden staff, he deftly knocked the dagger from the man's hand. The weapon skittered away in the dust. The bandit stumbled, and before he could recover, Ilan placed the tip of his staff gently at the man's chest, stopping him without striking. The man fell to his knees, defeated and expecting punishment. Instead, Ilan lowered his staff and said softly, "Go in peace. I see pain in your eyes. This path will not heal it." The bandit looked confused, then scrambled up and ran off into the wilderness, clutching a bruised arm but otherwise unharmed. Later that evening, as dusk settled, Aaron and Ilan made camp near a dry riverbed a mile further on. As Aaron gathered wood, he heard a faint groan on the breeze. Following the sound, they discovered the same bandit from earlier, lying at the bottom of a small gully. In the dim light, it appeared he had fallen and his leg was trapped painfully under a heavy fallen branch. Upon seeing the travellers, the man panicked. "Get away! Haven't you done enough?" he cried, assuming they'd come to take revenge or gloat. But Aaron rushed to the man's side, lifting the weighty branch with Ilan's help. The man gasped in surprise as they freed his injured leg. He had a bad sprain and some cuts. Gently, Ilan and Aaron helped him up and supported him back to their camp. There they gave him water and a portion of their bread. Aaron cleaned and bandaged a cut on the man's arm. The bandit watched in silent astonishment, tears welling in his eyes. "I tried to rob you. Why would you help me?" he whispered, voice cracking. Aaron felt a surge of empathy. Up close, the man looked not much older than himself, gaunt and exhausted. "Because you're hurt and need help," Aaron replied simply. "Everyone makes mistakes. You're still a human being, like us." The man broke into quiet sobs. He confessed that desperation for his starving family had driven him to banditry, a choice he already regretted. Ilan patted his shoulder. "Sometimes compassion is the best cure," he said. "Take this food for your family. In the next town, seek honest work. Tell them Ilan sent you." The man nodded fervently. He stayed by their fire that night, humbled and grateful. By morning, though still limping, he insisted on heading home. Before departing, he bowed deeply to Aaron and Ilan. "You've shown me kindness I did not deserve. I will never forget it. I will repay it by becoming a kinder man myself." As he disappeared into the morning mist, Aaron felt a deep warmth in his chest. They had turned an enemy into a friend through an act of mercy. He realized compassion's incredible power to break the cycle of hurt and anger and replace it with healing and hope. Reflection. Compassion is often described as the highest form of love, love in action when faced with another's suffering. In the encounter with the bandit, we see compassion's radical strength. Instead of responding to harm with harm or indifference, Aaron and Elan responded with mercy and aid. This choice not only helped a desperate man heal physically, it also touched his soul, possibly altering the course of his life. Such is the transformative power of compassion. It turns a vicious cycle into a virtuous one. True compassion requires us to see beyond someone's hurtful actions or rough exterior and recognize their shared humanity. The bandit, once perceived as a threat, was revealed to be a frightened young man with a hungry family. Compassion doesn't excuse wrongdoing, but it understands that suffering often underlies it. By addressing the suffering with help, with empathy, we address the root rather than just the symptom. As the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. The flip side is that helped people can help people. When we show compassion to someone in pain or error, we plant a seed of kindness in them, which can grow and be passed on. On a spiritual level, compassion is the expression of the fundamental oneness of all beings. When we are compassionate, we act from the understanding that what happens to you in some way happens to me. It dissolves the illusion of separateness. That's why acts of compassion often leave the giver feeling as uplifted as the receiver. Aaron helped the bandit, and in doing so he felt a deep warmth and sense of connection. His heart expanded. Compassion is a two-way blessing. Living with compassion doesn't mean becoming a doormat or never protecting oneself. Elan did disarm the bandit after all. It means that even when we set boundaries or respond to injustice, we do so without hatred. We can defend ourselves or correct someone and still wish for their ultimate well-being. Compassion might sometimes be tough love, but it is always rooted in the hope that the other can grow or heal. In daily life, compassion can be practiced in small ways. Listening patiently to a friend's troubles, forgiving someone who snapped at you, offering help to a stranger in need. It also extends to giving yourself compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding when you make mistakes or go through hardships. Compassion, especially towards those who seem least deserving of it, is a powerful force for change. It softens hearts and opens minds. It has the courage to say, I see your suffering, and I choose to help relieve it, even when it would be easier to turn away. In doing so, we affirm the underlying truth that we are all connected. An act of compassion, no matter how small, is like a stone dropped in water. Its ripples spread in ways we may never fully know, easing pain and inspiring kindness in turn. Ritual of discovery, heart of compassion. Center in kindness. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Take a few calming breaths. Place a hand over your heart and gently recall a time when you felt cared for or when you showed kindness to someone. Let that warm, caring feeling arise in your chest. This is the seed of compassion, the gentle warmth of caring. Compassion for self. Direct that warm feeling toward yourself first. You might silently say, May I be well, may I be peaceful, may I be free from suffering. Acknowledge your own difficulties and offer yourself understanding and wish yourself wellness. Feel compassion for the vulnerable, human part of you that tries its best each day. Compassion for a loved one. Now picture someone you care about deeply who might be struggling or simply someone whose happiness is dear to you. Imagine them standing before you. Inwardly say to them, May you be well, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering. Visualize light or warmth emanating from your heart to theirs, enveloping them in comfort and love. Compassion for a neutral person or stranger. Next, bring to mind someone you don't know well, perhaps a neighbor you've seen, a co-worker you aren't close to, or even a person you passed on the street today. Even if you know little about their life, acknowledge that they too have joys and struggles. Send out the same heartfelt wish. May you be well. May you find peace. May you be free of pain. Imagine them receiving this compassionate wish, compassion for a difficult person. Lastly, think of someone who has upset or hurt you, or whom you find hard to like. Not the most extreme person, but someone you have minor conflicts with. This can be challenging, but remember the bandit and the pain that drove him. See if you can view this person as a fellow human who, like everyone, seeks happiness and struggles with their own issues. In your heart, extend the wish. Despite our differences, I wish you healing, I wish you well-being. You are not condoning any bad behavior. You are simply offering the hope that they be freed from whatever inner suffering drives them to act badly. Radiate and close. Now let your compassion widen to all beings. Feel your heart as a vessel overflowing with gentle warmth, and imagine that warmth spreading across the world, to people, animals, anyone in need. Take a final deep breath and allow a sense of connection to all life. When ready, open your eyes. Carry this mindset forward. When you encounter someone's suffering or even rudeness, recall this exercise and remember that compassion is always an option, both for others and for yourself. Chapter 9. Surrender. The two travelers' journey eventually brought them to a broad river rushing through a valley. Recent rains had swollen its current. Arun and Elan followed the bank looking for a safe ford, but daylight was fading and they were eager to reach the village visible on the opposite shore. Spotting a relatively calmer stretch, they decided to cross. They linked arms for stability and stepped into the cold, swirling water. Partway across, the riverbed suddenly dropped off, and a strong current yanked Arun from Elan's grasp. "Master!" Arun cried as he lost footing and was swept into deeper water. Panic seized him. He flailed his arms and legs, fighting against the pull of the river, but the more he struggled, the more water he swallowed and the weaker he became. "Elan, help!" he choked, thrashing in terror. On the bank, Elan shouted, "Arun, lay on your back, float!" In his frenzy, Arun barely heard the words. But as he was pulled downstream, some instinct, or trust in his teacher's voice, made him do the opposite of what fear urged. Instead of furiously kicking, he forced himself to go still and roll onto his back, arms spread. Immediately his face bobbed above the surface. Though the current still carried him, Arun was now floating. He gulped air and coughed out water, no longer sinking. He let the river have its way with his body, concentrating only on staying flat and calm. The current swept him around a bend into a gentler flow. With his ears under water, the world sounded quiet. Arun felt an unexpected sense of peace wash over him as he drifted. Moments later, he reached a shallow eddy where he could stand. Elan waded in from the bank downstream to meet him, helping him ashore. Coughing and catching his breath, Arun collapsed onto the pebbles. Elan knelt beside him, concern in his eyes. Arun managed a weak smile. "I thought I was done for, until I let go." "You did well," Elan said softly. "Sometimes the only way to survive the tide is to stop fighting it." They walked further down the bank until they found a better crossing point and finally reached the village, where a warm fire and dry blankets awaited. That night, as Aaron reflected on the ordeal, he understood the day's lesson. In life's turbulent waters, there are times when one must surrender, not out of defeat, but as a way to flow to safety. By relinquishing control, he had discovered, paradoxically, a deeper trust in life's currents to carry him where he needed to go. Reflection, the notion of surrender in spiritual practice, is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean defeat or apathy. It means releasing the obsessive need to control every outcome. Aaron's struggle in the river is a perfect metaphor. The more he thrashed, the more he sank. In life, when we resist what is happening with panic or stubbornness, clinging to how we think things must go, we often exhaust ourselves and worsen the situation. Surrender, by contrast, is the act of yielding to the flow of reality, trusting that it will carry us where we need to be. There is great strength in this kind of letting go. It takes courage to relinquish control and have faith, whether in the wisdom of life, a higher power, or our own resilience. When Aaron rolled onto his back and floated, he hadn't given up on living. He had given up on his struggle. He chose to trust the river to hold him. In emotional or personal turmoil, surrender might mean accepting, I cannot change this situation right now, but I can ride through it and see where it leads. Immediately, a certain peace can arise, the peace of not fighting reality. Many spiritual traditions emphasize surrender. In meditation, one might surrender the constant stream of thoughts to find stillness. In prayer, a person surrenders their worries to the divine, Thy will be done. In Taoist philosophy, one aligns with a Tao, flowing like water around obstacles rather than resisting. In all cases, the underlying principle is the same. Stop pushing so hard against the way things are. Instead, work with it or allow it, and new possibilities will open. Surrender is particularly powerful in situations we truly cannot control: another person's actions, an illness, a sudden life change. By accepting the reality of what's happening, we conserve our energy for wise responses, like Aaron floating to calmer waters, instead of wasting it on denial or rage. This mental shift from resistance to acceptance often brings clarity. We might see solutions we missed before, or find that some outcomes aren't as disastrous as we imagined. It's important to note that surrender doesn't mean we never take action. It means the inner struggle relaxes. We stop trying to force life to our will, and in that calmer state, we can discern the natural next step to take. It's a dance, sometimes pushing, sometimes yielding. Wisdom is knowing when to do which. In your life, consider, what are you gripping onto so tightly that it causes you pain? How might you gently loosen your hold? Perhaps it's surrendering a grudge and allowing forgiveness, or accepting that you need help and asking for it, or releasing a dream that isn't materializing in order to make space for a new one. Surrender often feels like a free fall at first, but trust that a deeper river of life will catch you, and when it does, you float, carried by something greater than your own small will, toward a shore you might not have reached by force alone. Ritual of discovery, the art of letting go. Name your struggle. Think of one issue in your life that's causing you stress, especially something you've tried to control with little success. It might be a situation, like not finding a job yet, another person's behavior, or an internal worry, like uncertainty about the future. Take a sheet of paper and write down what it is and how you've been trying to force a particular outcome. Be honest about your fears or frustrations surrounding it. Offer it up. Now, at the bottom of that page or on a new one, write a statement of surrender and trust. For example, I release this situation into the care of the universe, God, life. I have done what I can. Now I let go and trust the process. Phrase it in a way that resonates with you. This is your way of symbolically handing over the burden. As you write, really imagine lifting this weight off your shoulders and placing it into the hands of a loving, greater force or into the flow of life. Symbolic release. Fold the paper. If you have a safe means to do so, like a fireproof bowl, you might carefully burn it, watching the smoke rise as a visual of your attachment lifting away. If not, tear it into small pieces and throw them in the trash or bury them in the ground, somewhere out of sight. As you destroy or set aside the paper, say aloud or in your heart, I surrender this. I am letting go. Feel the relief of not holding so tightly onto it. Embody surrender. Lie down on your back in a comfortable spot, on a mat or bed or even the floor. Spread your arms and legs slightly like a starfish, or as if floating in water. Close your eyes and take slow, deep breaths. With each exhale, feel your body growing heavier, fully supported by the earth beneath you. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to do in this moment. You are safe to just be. Mentally affirm, I am supported. I trust life to carry me. Stay in this position for a few minutes, allowing every muscle to relax. Imagine any remaining tension or need to control melting away into the ground. Rise lightly. When you feel ready, gently sit up. Notice if you feel a bit lighter or calmer. The situation you surrendered may still be present in your life, but you have changed your relationship to it. Whenever anxiety about it returns, remind yourself that you've handed it over and repeat the affirmation of trust. You can even repeat the physical act of lying down and breathing if needed. Over time, you'll find that surrendering control in this way invites unexpected solutions, or at least greater peace in your heart. Like a river finding its course, life often finds a way when we stop insisting on our own. Chapter 10. Unity. On the final leg of their journey, Aaron and Elan climbed a sacred mountain where, it was said, wise ones went to seek ultimate truth. They reached the summit just before dawn, the sky still a deep blue velvet strewn with stars. The air was thin and clear. Far below, valleys lay blanketed in mist, and above, the heavens felt close enough to touch. Elon gently placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder and whispered, "This is your moment. Sit here and open your heart to the world." The old teacher then stepped back, giving Aaron space. Aaron sat on a flat stone at the peak, wrapping his cloak tighter against the chill. In the east, the first hint of amber light grew. He closed his eyes, breathing slowly, and let his awareness expand outward. He felt the cold rock under him and realized it was not just a rock, it was part of the same mountain that carried him, the same earth that nourished all life. As his breathing steadied, he sensed the presence of everything around him. The breeze that whispered past carried the pine scent of forests below and brushed his skin as tenderly as a mother's hand. In the quiet, he could hear his own heartbeat, and as he listened further, he thought he heard another rhythmic pulse, as if the mountain itself had a heartbeat that subtly matched his own. Curiosity and calm washed over him. He opened his eyes. The sun's rim was peeking over the horizon, flooding the sky with rose and gold. In that moment, something in Aaron's chest seemed to break open gently, like a flower blooming. Tears filled his eyes, though he felt no sorrow, only an overwhelming sense of wonder and love. He looked at the rising sun and felt intimately connected to it, as if the light were pouring not just around him but through him. The morning rays touched the mist in the valleys, the forests, the rivers in the distance, and Aaron too, uniting everything in one golden glow. A profound realization dawned on him, clearer than any thought. All is one. The boundaries he usually perceived between himself and the world, between one being and another, were illusion, like the mist that was now melting away. Aaron's consciousness seemed to stretch outward without limit. He felt as if he were the mountain and the sky, the sunlight and the breeze, the villagers just waking in their homes below, and Elan standing quietly nearby, all at once. A quiet joy bubbled up from deep within, a love without object, simply flowing because it is the nature of oneness to love every part of itself. He didn't know how long he sat there in that state of unity. It might have been seconds or an eternity. Eventually Elan's warm hand came to rest on his back. Aaron turned and saw that his teacher's eyes glistened too, as if he understood exactly what Aaron had experienced. Without any words, Aaron simply smiled through his tears, and Elan smiled back, nodding. The sun was fully up now, shining on both their faces. As they began their descent from the mountain, Aaron felt no sense of ending. Though his formal journey with Elan was concluding, a deeper journey was just beginning, a life lived with the awareness that beneath the myriad stories and lessons, all is truly one. He walked down, carrying the treasure of that dawn in his heart, knowing he would never feel alone again. Reflection. The crowning insight of Aaron's journey is the realization of unity, the profound understanding that all is one. This concept echoes through the halls of ancient wisdom, that behind the diversity of forms and faces in this world lies a single, universal essence. We are like individual waves, rising and falling, yet each wave is made of the same ocean. In Aaron's mountaintop experience, he directly felt this truth. It wasn't an idea or theory. It was a living reality pouring through him with the sunrise. Unity doesn't erase our uniqueness. Rather, it contextualizes it. Just as each star has its own light, yet all contribute to the one sky, each of us shines with our own spirit, yet a part of a greater whole. When we truly grasp this, even for a moment, a great peace settles in. The loneliness that haunts so many people can dissolve, because we sense an unbreakable connection to everyone and everything. We are never truly alone. The entire universe is our family, and we are a strand in the grand tapestry of existence. From the awareness of oneness springs naturally the compassion, love, and trust that we've explored in earlier chapters. If I see you as separate and unrelated to me, I might ignore your pain or compete with you. But if I know in my heart that you and I are connected, that your joy and your sorrow are linked with mine, then empathy flows freely. Caring for others becomes as natural as caring for oneself. This is why sages and saints emphasize oneness, not as a lofty abstraction, but as the source of genuine love and ethical living. Unity also brings a sense of harmony with nature. We realize the earth beneath our feet is our extended body, the animals and plants our kin. We feel reverence for life in all its forms, recognizing the same spark in a tree, a bird, or a distant star that we find within ourselves. This recognition can guide our actions to be more gentle, more responsible, more attuned to the balance of the whole. For most of us, the experience of total oneness may come in fleeting moments, a breathtaking sunset that makes us forget ourselves, a deep meditation, or the quiet wonder of looking into a newborn's eyes. We might intellectualize that we are all connected, but when we truly feel it, even briefly, it leaves a mark on the soul. It becomes easier thereafter to live with an open heart and an open mind. As this journey of chapters comes to an end, the lesson of unity is a fitting conclusion and an ongoing beginning. To live in the light of unity is to remember that at the deepest level we share the same source and destination. The many paths and experiences we have are like rivers that eventually merge into the same sea. When we honor that unity in our daily life, through kindness, respect, and a sense of shared existence, we align ourselves with the fundamental truth of the universe. In unity, we find strength, humility, and love. The seeker's journey, which began with perceiving the world anew, culminates in perceiving the self anew, not as a solitary drop, but as part of the endless ocean of being. This is the ultimate discovery, that in the grand tapestry of creation there is only one heart, beating through all of us, in unison. Ritual of discovery, embracing oneness. Find a sacred space. Go to a place where you can sense nature or a broad expanse. Ideally, do this at dawn or dusk or under a starry night sky, times when the veil between you and the world feels thin. It could be a quiet backyard, a park, a hill, or even an open window if you can't go far. The key is to have a view of the sky or something natural around you. Stand or sit comfortably. Ground and open. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Feel your feet on the earth. Imagine gentle roots extending from your feet into the ground, anchoring you to the earth. Acknowledge that the ground beneath you is the same earth under everyone, connecting you to all people and creatures standing or walking at this very moment. Now, bring your awareness upward. Feel the breeze on your skin or the air against you. This air is shared by all beings. As you inhale, realize you're taking in what the trees and oceans have exhaled, and you exhale what will become the breath of others. You are linked by this cycle. Expand your vision. Open your eyes and gaze at the horizon or the sky above. If it's night, find a star or the moon. If day, notice the clouds or the vastness of blue. Let your vision soften and take in the breadth of the world before you. As you look, sense that the same sky stretches over everyone, the same sun illuminates us, the same stars glitter for all. Feel the boundaries of your individual self gently dissolving as you marvel at this shared sky. You might silently affirm, I am part of this great unity of life. Heart connection. Place your hand on your heart, and if you feel comfortable, extend your other arm outward, as if you could hold the whole world's hand. With your inner vision, see the entire web of life as threads of light connecting from your heart outwards, to the people you love, to acquaintances, to strangers in far lands, to animals, plants, the earth, and the stars. You are like a node in a shimmering network that encompasses all that is. Spend a few moments sensing the pulse of this network. Perhaps even imagine a gentle universal heartbeat that you sync up with, the one heart that beats in all. Bless the whole. To conclude, offer a simple blessing or positive intention for all beings and yourself. For example, may all beings, including myself, be happy, free, and united in peace. Say it either out loud or in your mind. As you speak these words, envision them rippling out across the world through those threads of light. Know that in this moment of intention, you are actively participating in the well-being of the whole. Carry unity within. Gently release your visualization and roots, knowing you are always connected. Take a final deep breath and carry that sense of oneness with you as you return to your daily activities. Whenever you feel isolated or disconnected, recall the feeling of the vast sky, the shared breath, and the web of light linking your heart to all. Remember that you are never alone. You are an irreplaceable part of the One. Final blessing and departure. And now, dear traveller, the final temple closes not with a clang of ending, but with a soft breath of beginning. You have walked the path of awakening. You have seen through the veils. You have stood in the stillness where all truths converge. And now you carry with you not just stories or teachings, but living wisdom etched into the chambers of your heart. You are no longer the seeker you once were. You are the mystic, the alchemist, the weaver of light, the one who knows, not merely in thought, but in experience, that all is truly one. From the first step taken in curiosity to the final breath taken in unity, this journey has always pointed you home, to the deep knowing already within you, to the sacred self that never left your side. Let this be your compass now. Let this be your rhythm. Let this be your prayer. When doubt rises, return to the breath. When confusion stirs, return to the ritual. When the world feels fragmented, return to the truth of oneness. And always remember, the path continues. Each day is another footstep. Each moment, another sacred doorway. Each encounter, another opportunity to remember who you truly are. So go now, not as one who seeks, but as one who knows. Walk gently, love boldly, create as though the stars themselves move through your hands, for they do. And if ever you forget, if ever the path grows dim or the silence feels too vast, return here. These words will be waiting. This wisdom will remain. The doors of the sacred temples are never truly closed. They live in you now, and so it is.